Hey, this is Blake Savage, and my project is about the various dyslexias and dysgraphias. Our objective today is to compare and contrast the main dyslexias and dysgraphias. There are two processes of reading, including whole word reading and phonetic reading. Whole word reading is when we automatically recognize a word and can easily pronounce it, while phonetic reading is when we sound out the words. Per the Mayo Clinic, dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves difficulty reading because of problems identifying speech sounds and/or learning how they relate to letters and words. Before we jump into the various subcategories of dyslexia, it's important to note that there is a difference between acquired and developmental dyslexias. Acquired dyslexia happens after an individual experiences damage to the brain, after they have already learned to read, while developmental dyslexias are typically diagnosed when a child is learning to read. There are 4 types of dyslexia, including developmental, phonological, direct, and surface. In my role as a paraprofessional, developmental dyslexia was a type of dyslexia I ran into. These students had a difficult time sounding out words and manipulating phonemes, meaning it's hard for some of these students to change or move individual sounds in a word. Writing was also a challenge, especially with spatial arrangement, grammar, and leaving letters out of words. Developmental dyslexias are thought to be genetic. Individuals with phonological dyslexia have challenges sounding out words, especially nonsense words, but excel in whole word reading. This means reading familiar words is easy, while reading new ones is almost impossible. They can also be fantastic readers if they were already reading before brain damage occurred. Therefore, phonological dyslexia is an acquired dyslexia. Direct dyslexia is also an acquired dyslexia in which individuals can read what they have written. However, they lack reading comprehension. According to the text, 2 separate patients had very different experiences. One was able to sound out words phonetically, even nonsense words, and the other was not. The final acquired dyslexia is surface dyslexia. Individuals with this reading disability struggle with whole word reading, but excel in phonetic reading, even with nonsense words. However, irregularly spelled words are not as easily grasped. Homophones without context are also a challenge. There are also 2 different methods of writing, phonological and visual memory. Phonological writing is simply sounding out words, as one writes them, while visual memory is remembering what a word looks like. Dysgraphia is an acquired learning disability that can manifest itself as difficulties with spelling, poor handwriting, and trouble putting thoughts on paper. There are 2 main types of dysgraphia, phonological and orthographic. Phonological dysgraphia can be categorized as the inability to sound out words, write them phonetically, or writing unfamiliar words, including nonsense words. However, people with this disorder are able to visualize and write familiar words. It appears this disorder is brought on by damage to the bronchus area, ventral precentral gyrus, and/or the insula. People with orthographic dysgraphia have the opposite effect, in which they can only sound words out and write pronounceable nonsense words. They do struggle with spelling irregular words. However, some individuals can write sentences dictated to them, but are unable to read what they wrote. This disorder is caused by damage to the VWFA. There is a table at the end of Chapter 13 that lays out whether a reading or writing disorder is identified by good or poor whole word and phonetic skills. I think it's a great reference for when one is in a pinch, so I thought I'd liven it up a bit with some colorful pictures. Direct dyslexia, phonological dyslexia, or orthographic dysgraphia tend to have great phonetic skills. On the other hand, people with surface dyslexia or phonological dysgraphia usually have poorer phonetic skills. People with direct dyslexia or phonological dysgraphia have a tendency to do well with whole word skills. However, those with surface dyslexia, phonological dyslexia, or orthographic dysgraphia have a more difficult time developing whole word skills. For my fun fact, I thought we'd talk about music and dyslexia. Habib and his team aimed to expand on the idea that musical training could aid in the treatment of dyslexia. They took on 12 participants ranging from ages 8 to 11 years old and had them work with a speech therapist, piano professor, and psychomotor therapist for 45 minutes each. This took place over the course of 3 days, totaling 18 hours. They found that cognitive functions, including those used in reading, improved as a result of musical therapy. While their findings seem substantial, it should be noted that their trial size was extremely small and would need to be tested again. Thank you all for listening to my project, and I look forward to the next one.